find himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nuoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, look at the toss. You haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the iGPFun F3 League for Season 4 of 2023. We're here at Suzuka for round 2 of our championship, and it's great to be along once again in the relatively high temperatures of this Japanese racetrack, where of course we held a race in a pretty famous motorsport series earlier on today. Hope you're not tired of this circuit yet, because we're racing around here once again, as we have done, I believe, the website's telling me, on 11 occasions in the past. This is the 12th time we've been to this circuit. Those races, by the way, dating all the way back to the start of 2019, which is turning into quite a long time ago now, scarily. Let's take a look at our championship standings after only one round, because these are the championship standings, really. It's basically race results from what we saw 1 week ago in our season opener at Spa. Kenzie Newhoff's got his season title defence off to a great start with a win ahead of Greg Seitz. Andy Flint was on the podium, with Max Bartolotta and Leonard Cherry rounding out the top 5. Antonio Jimenez was in 6th position, just ahead of Pedro Suarez, then Will McIntyre-Jones, Connor Gibb and Robert Ridgway, who finished out the top 10. Jacques Willems finished 11th ahead of Luca Verani, who is in 12th, or was in 12th in that race. Adam Talsper 13th ahead of Giovanni Solito and Stuart Milne to round out the top 15. And we'll go through a few more as well. To round out the top 20, Evan Way, Lucas Marek, Masters Prutniks, Louis Gregg and Edward Amos round out the top 20 of the standings for the iGPFun F3 League after only a round. We've got just over 5 minutes remaining in qualifying. My name is Ewan Leary. I'm alongside Dean Biggles here this evening. No James, but we've got Biggles instead, so you'll have to make do, or indeed enjoy us here this evening. Welcome on, Biggles. Good to have you alongside me once again for the second time in this series in what feels like only a few weeks now. It's good to be back at this racetrack, which we've seen a lot of today, and we're going here one last time as well in the evening here in Europe anyway, to go racing at Suzuka. Difficult circuit, very, very difficult, and for that reason, I never got on with it much as a driver, I have to be honest.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Of course, I feel like I was just here. In fact, I was just here for the Formula One live cast along we did here on the James Parfitt Broadcasting Network earlier. But I wasn't commentating that one. I got to push all the buttons and stuff in the background. Pushing all the buttons in the background as well here today for the open qualifying session that we're just about to wrap up soon, with give or take 5 minutes to go. And see up there, 150.9 is the benchmark that has been set by the Flying Dutchman.
Yep, Kenzie Newhoff, the race winner from 1 week ago, currently on provisional pole right now as well. A few notes handed to us by Luca Verani a couple of hours ago, by the way, as we prepared ourselves for this round. Noted about the track temperature that could or does have a risk of going a bit higher than people have practiced with, and he mentioned that the cutoff is at 28 degrees centigrade, and if it goes a bit higher over the course of the race, then it could cause a few problems. It's 27 at the moment, so they are teetering on the edge of a pretty hot day, and so if that happens, tyres are likely to be an issue, and that is likely anyway because of the high loads that you take these corners through. For that reason, those high loads through the corners, you probably need the high downforce setting. It's a bit faster over the lap time, but if you want to overtake, then you'll want to take a bit of that downforce off and make some moves during the race. I don't know whether he's putting pressure intentionally on Andy Flint by saying this, but Luca said to watch out for Andy Flint because he's fast and conserve tyres. Don't know if that's a bit of mind games or whether he genuinely means that. He doesn't reckon he will finish inside the top 10 today, but I always believe that he can do a little bit better than he says, actually. For the moment, this qualifying session hasn't quite gone his way, I don't think. Can't actually see where Verani is in the order Gonna have to find him. He's in 13th at the moment, so top 10 is very possible. And I'm refuting his claims that they're not. So there he is, just under half a second away from the current pole position. But very interesting to note, really, and it's going to be a long race for some as well. Some of these corners are really high load. The tyres take a bit of a shredding round here, and it's one of those rhythm circuits, really. You don't want to be going off the road all the time, or at any point, to be honest, because first of all, you're likely to find a barrier, and second of all, you get out of the rhythm that is so important around a fast and flowing circuit like Suzuka.
Riding on board currently at the moment, the man in P2 of Carter, Andrea Carter. So give us a hot lap guide around Suzuka, please, my friend, the dying stages of this race. I mean, qualifying.
Yes, in qualifying. This might be the last chance for Andrea Carter here to set a time, so let's see whether he can do it. Riding on board with the Italian as he makes his way over the line. He's only half a tenth away from Kenji Neal. We'll see if he can find it over the course of this lap. Keeping it to the left-hand side here to open out the opening turn of the circuit as much as possible, but you are braking and turning at the same time here. Don't turn the wheel too much, you will go for a spin, but you do need to grab that apex at turn 2 very tightly. Now it's just a case of letting the car flow, making sure you're taking the shortest route through here, not scrubbing the tyres too much during the race. In qualifying, you can get away with it. Now through this right-hander, he's gone a little bit wide through turn 6, which is meant to set you up for the Dunlop curve. He's not really done that by getting to the right-hand side and sweeping through. He's taken a slightly compromised line, and that will hurt him slightly on the run up the hill here and through that left-hander. Now into the 2 Degners, over the curb at 1, avoiding it for the most part at 2. You're more likely to let yourself run out a bit wider there and use the AstroTurf on the outside. Now in towards the hairpin, where some overtaking moves may happen, and some big lunges certainly may happen during the race. It's about keeping it as tight to the inside as possible there and getting a good straight run out of it, because it isn't a straight coming up next, but it is a long acceleration flat out zone on the gently curving right-hander at turn 12 towards Spoon. Now flick it in here at 13. Don't go too wide on that curb, it's absolutely deadly in iRacing, but you do want to get this apex at 14, a relatively late one that is, and you want to get that run onto the back straight. Unfortunately, I don't think Andrea Carter has really maximised this lap as much as maybe he could have done. So I don't think this is going to be the improvement that he's looking for. He's still too far away from the line for us to see whether he's improving or not. He's making his way now down in towards the final chicane. It's the Casio Triangle, of course, scene of much drama in years gone by as well. Over the curbs here, as much as you like because of the slower speeds. And now keep it to the right-hand side. Shortest distance possible to the line. Unfortunately for Cutter, it's nowhere near a new fastest lap time. In fact, it's a 52.5. I even wonder whether he was just building himself up a little bit for a final lap time here, because he did get over the line in time to have one more go, possibly, although the checkered flag is about to wave.
Absolutely. You're talking about Luca before too, who sat in the pit garage the whole time. So the chances of him getting inside the top 10 are pretty much null and nothing. Just not comfortable enough to go out there and put some final laps in, dying stages of this race. A couple of drivers are on out laps now, which I'm not quite sure if they're keeping going to get anything, but majority of our strength of field at the moment too, a huge field of about 50 something plus drivers that we have. I'm just trying to see all the, so because some of the drivers haven't even gone out and put a lap in, but that's pretty much it for our qualifying session. So, well, who was on track with that countdown time might just be enough. Just having a look at some of the drivers here, because we've got Patrick out on a flyer.
Yeah, he's a long way down. This is would actually be his first lap, Patrick Rollins. He's over the line there, is he? No? Okay, I don't know where Patrick Rollins has gone. But anyway, he stays down in 50th place, actually, with that time. Who's improving? Andrea Carter has gone personal best in the third sector of the lap. There are 6 around here, by the way, in iRacing. There is Carter, but he's taking quite a wide line through there. Not sure whether this is going to be an improvement. There are no improvements happening ahead of him. So the checkered flag is waving. Carter's going to be almost the final driver to cross the line. And he's certainly the final driver, I believe, with a chance of taking pole away. Normally, we don't actually see that much change in these qualifying sessions, actually, when we join here for the iGPFun F3 League, because it's a long session, and normally the best drivers have got their best times in earlier on. But we saw great and late changes at Spa 1 week ago. Not quite the same this time. It's a 51.0. He was only 8 hundredths away from improving, in fact, but Andrea Carter can't improve. and he will stay in second place. He'll have to deal with being on the outside row, which is not a bad place to start. The outside of the front row, which is not a bad place to start for this race, I wouldn't say.
Yep. Anywhere in the front row is always good for the opportunities, and especially if you have such a huge field of cars. You don't want to be in the midfield at that point, isn't it? The chance of accidents will increase heavily. Look at that lovely chrome multicoloured liveries you're watching at the moment there from Mr. Will McIntyre Jones. I got that correctly for the Digital Apex machine, because he's pretty much the last one, as well as Adam on a flyer. Adam Tasselma, a Canadian driver. So, no greens, as you can see there for the mini sector. So, but then again, it can be a little bit surprising sometimes. Kenny's 3/10 down off pole.
Yeah, I'm slightly confused as to how they're still being allowed to run around at the moment, because the checker flag's still out and was out when they crossed the line, I believe.
21 seconds left. I don't think you're going to cut
does
it
he?
that time.
Okay. Well, we'll see if he gets there. I wouldn't imagine so.
No.
No. I wouldn't imagine he's going to get to the line in time. So it will be 9th for McIntyre Jones and 16th for Talsma. But part of the Digital Apex team, as you said, McIntyre Jones. They're 3rd in the championship, by the way. It's Scuderia Hydroforce Racing 1 and 2. Kenzie Newhoff and Pedro Suarez are leading in Hydroforce Racing, Hydro Race Racing Forces. Scuderia Hydro Race Racing Forces, Formula Sim Racing, team by iRace, are in second. In the team's championship. But let's go through the grid quickly before this race gets underway. Kenzie Newhoff and Andrea Catera will be on the front row ahead of Max Bartolozzi and Evan Way. Tony Jimenez got inside the top 5 alongside Lucas Marek, another one of the Digital Apex drivers. Pedro Suarez and Andy Flint will be on row 4 ahead of Will McIntyre Jones and Greg Seitz, who round out the top 10. Jakub Oleswinski is 11th ahead of Timo Braun, who's in 12th. Then 13th, it will be Luca Veroni, of course, alongside last season's runner-up Connor Gibb. Christian Clamseater and Adam Townsborough on row 8 ahead of Clark Williams and Stephen Ridders. Philip Lucas and Simon Fessi round out the top 20. Kojito Chuck Morrow on row 11 ahead of Rob Ridgway and Louis Gregg. In 25th, it's Stuart Milne and Nick Carty. In 26th, Ryan Berry and Jack Williams are on the next row. John McKenzie and Ivan Zaranau round out the top 30. Edward Amos just missed out ahead of Reed Dennis, Ben Goyet, Bratislav Potapenko, Marek Kotlovs and Paul LeMay, who we see a little bit of in other leagues on the JPB YouTube channel. They're sharing row 18, back in 35th and 36th. 37th is Marcis Putniks, just ahead of Michael LeMay. You might have gathered their brothers. Paolo Bremen, Garrett Spence rounding out the top 40 with Martin Devine and Renus Catini on row 21. Marcelo Kessler is alongside Alex Hopkins, about 1.6 seconds back. Richard Wedstead is alongside Dorian Arroyo. Matt Brewer and Jose Arroyo are 47th and 48th. Then we've got Gerhard Rollins. Who else have we got? Sanchez, Villarreal and Herrera to round out the massive 53-car grid we have for the second round of the iGPFun F3 League in Season 4 of 2023. This is round 2 at Suzuka, and it's set to get underway with 26 laps on the cards for us. Kenzie Newhoff, the reigning champion and race winner from the opening round of the season, set to get this race underway from the pole position. The lights go out in Japan and we're underway. Bartolotto with a great start. He's already alongside Catera towards turn 1, but don't forget, no active overtaking before turn 1 and before the end of the orange zone at the start of these races, just to alleviate some of the chaos in towards the opening corners of this race. We will see single file for the most part through the S's so that everyone can get through cleanly, and it looks like they will do. You can see it off in the background, all 50 of them in one shot as we look down the hill through the S's. It's Kenzie Newhoff who converts a pole position into an early race lead and single file in the first sector as designed to make sure that we get through the opening moments of this race. So now that we can go racing and the guys will properly start to battle, it's all going to kick off through the rest of lap 1.
Absolutely amazing. Well done to all the drivers, respecting the rules and respecting the limitations of filing through there. I don't think I've ever seen that many times in my life, that many cars going through here. Nice battle brewing at the moment between P3 and P4. As Nally has just said, it's time to overtake now. Start to get your gears up.
elbows out. Max Bartolotta certainly had that in towards the hairpin, and Evan Way is now alongside, not quite, into Spoon. They are living a bit of a dangerous game of letting the front two get away, actually. They've got to be careful of that. Way is now falling into the clutch of the likes of Tony Jimenez. Lucas Marek is in 6th place. Then it's Pedro Suarez, Andy Flint and Will McIntyre-Jones to sort of round off this little train, if you like. Down the back straight they go towards 130R. There's going to be some breaking in towards the triangle, but down the inside goes Andrea Kata into 130R. He's through. Look at the side-by-side in the background. I think there's been contact. There has. Oh no! Big contact. I think Pedro Suarez is involved along with Lucas Marek from around the 5th and 6th sort of region. There's been contact on the way in towards the hairpin, and we've got no rear wing on someone there, I think, in the mid-pack. There's been a crash. We'll get back to that in a few moments' time, but Andrea Kata has taken the lead. It was a calm first half to the opening lap and a mental second half.
It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, exactly. There was a few cars that were around just in the background, as you can see. That was Pedro. Real quick there, let's have a look what's happened here. And this is, remember, just a couple of corners ago. Whoa, that's a huge snap, I think, on the brake, and that's just sent him into everybody else there. Luckily, I feel the other cars managed to avoid it. They're starting to settle down a little bit, my friend, but it still came on, action on here. Round 2.
Yeah, Andrea Kata didn't have the speed in qualifying, but he's got the speed so far in the opening moments of the race. This is where the real battling is, though, back in the mid-pack. The gaps in the top 10 or so are not below half a second almost anywhere. Further back they certainly are, but that was a big snap of what I believe was netcode, to be honest with you, on the way towards the final chicane there. And big snap for Lucas Marek it was, went straight into Suarez, who couldn't avoid. I mean, there was big distance between those two cars, and so surely that was a bit of netcode, and unfortunate to see them both likely to be out of this race as a result of that bit of contact. Simon Fessi looks at the inside of Chuck Morrow here towards Spoon. He can't do it on that occasion, and so Fessi will remain in that 19th position. But that's a real shame for Marek and Suarez, really, that they barely made any contact at all. In fact, they were miles apart as far as we could see, but clearly some connection problems, some netcode problems between the two of them, and we've got them both out of the race already, which is a real shame.
Further back in the field here, you have Timo. Oh, a different racing line. Sorry, I cut off there for a second. We have Kata there sitting the fastest time at the moment. Still in the lead here after the swapperoo positions. You said the front row wasn't too bad to be on because it's given the opportunity to take the lead of the race. Back further here, we have definitely trying to break the slipstream in there. We could even have a 3 and a 1, but we'll have a look at this battle here first.
Glamsey, here it is, round the outside of Adam Townsmer, and it's a great battle between the two. Now they'll go side by side into the S's. Townsmer's got the outside for the first spot. That puts Glamsey on the outside for the second, and it will change again. Townsmer this time on the outside. Now it's Glamsey's turn. Is he going to hold it there for Dunlop? No, not quite, and eventually Adam Townsmer gets through with that move around the outside at Dunlop. What a fantastic battle between the two of them, so respectful as well, and Clark Williams looks to get involved. He's right there along with Philip Lucas, Stephen Ridders as well. There's the look from Williams into Degner 2, that's not quite come off, and so Philip Lucas will have a look here, surely into the hairpin. He gets onto the back of Williams just up in front. He won't get there for the moment. Late braking from Williams just up in front. Philip Lucas stays behind for now, but great respectful racing in that first sector especially. No contact made, just a really great battle.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. This is another one brewing up in the 20s. In the mid-20 field. That's right, we're talking about the mid-20 fields because we have a lot of drivers on the grid, as you mentioned, 40-something in change. As our to look, there's a big lock up there, and who is that? That's Clark Williams going off the track.
And Simon Fessi's got no front wing, by the way. Oh dear, there's been all sorts going on here. Clark Williams as well as Mackenzie as well. And that is John Mackenzie, who's got some bodywork missing as Jacob Oleszynski holds on to that position, but not for long, surely. Timo Brown with a much better line off of the final chicane, and he's going to go around the outside. That's going to be a long way round there, and so he won't manage it, but it will remain side by side. It will be the slipstream for Connor Gibb, or Luca Verani, who's now going to go through the middle of both of them. He's through on Brown. Is he going to be through on Olszewski as well? No, not quite. Varani is into the top 10, a place he didn't think he'd be over the course of today's race, but he's into the top 10 now, and that's Timo Brown going from looking at 9th to back to 11th all over again. I'm sure it will change all over again over the course of this race, because the battles so far have changed with every lap and with every straight, it seems. It's been fantastic entertainment so far on lap 4.
There's your gainers and losers on the right-hand side of your timing tower, so a lot of the drivers who you can actually see all in the greens. The only changeroo of the dropping up position there, and that's a little bit of netcode we're just experiencing at the moment. But yeah, the only ones you see, the only change is right up the top. Go ahead.
Sorry, off the road, Braun, who had a big bobble over the curbs there and got overtaken by Conor Gibb. But yes, lots of movers and shakers, and we do often see this in this league, by the way. Looking out for the biggest mover of the day is quite a task sometimes. Marcus Putniks has been off the road at the Degners as well, by the way. He's dropping down the order with alarming consistency and at a pretty high rate at the moment, unfortunately, so he's dropped further back as well. But yeah, so many things having gone on so far in the opening laps. We've seen at least 4 drivers having come down pit lane so far. Even the likes of John McKenzie and Lucas Marek, who have had contact, we noted earlier on, have been into the pit lane, have taken a fast repair, and they're back out onto the circuit again, which is good to see. We're now on board with the second place man, Kenzie Newhoff, and he's looking for this race lead on Andrea Kata, who currently has led all of the laps in this race. He's led 4 out of 4, but Kenzie Newhoff's going to put an end to that, and he's going to prevent it from becoming 5 out of 5, because the championship leader and reigning champion Kenzie Newhoff gets to the lead through turn 1.
It's almost like a massive DRS straight, isn't it? There's so much power that you build up down that main straight into turn 1. But no DRS, of course, enabled on these machines, not this version of these machines anyway.
It's pure racing, as we like to call it.
No assists and all that sort of fancy stuff either.
Exactly.
It's just man, woman versus machine.
Yeah, it's fantastic as well. It's been a good start to this race, I've got to say. So Kenzie Newhoff does lead ahead of Andrea Kata, but the battles are further back. This is for 25th from Edward Amos back, involving Ivan Zurnau, Vyacheslav Potapenko and Marek Zotlovs, who are all on the back of Amos, who's leading the train at the moment and trying to hold on to that position in the standings.
So we have
the way I've taken to
Ukrainian driver on the field there as well too, which is the driver just up the road there.
Yeah.
Don't let me try and pronounce that. No, you've got that.
Vyacheslav Potapenko in 27th. Yeah, has been involved in the 2500 title battles in the last couple of seasons.
Oh, here's the hometown
which
hero
has been
here.
good. And now here we go. Yeah, Koji Ito trying to get through on Milne, I think that is. Yeah, it is. Stuart Milne for 20th place. Can't quite get that done, and now he might be overtaking himself.
This is fantastic. Look at this. But he's got nowhere to go. You can't just tuck it up on the inside. Oh, contact!
Oh, no! Contact, and Koji Ito off the road and with no rear wing. Well, he's been hit in the rear there, I'm afraid, as Koji Ito. It was Ryan Berry who got into the back of him, I think. Was it Reed Dennis? It was one of the two, as it's side by side now for Andy Flint and Tony Jimenez into turn 1. Jimenez on the inside, he goes through, and Andy Flint just falls back. Is he saving himself for later? We know, and we heard from Luca Varani that he is good at conserving tyres and going quickly. Well, maybe he's going to be a factor later on in the race, but what a shame that is for Koji Ito to have his rear wing knocked off there by, I believe, it was Ryan Berry in towards 130R, and unfortunately he suffered as a result. This is afterwards.
Oh, this is going to be Casio. That's going to be tight. That's just a little bit of contact, but spin around. Maybe a little bit of damage, but not as much as we've seen with rear wings. Kind of need that on your car, especially at the speeds and the level of competition that they're doing here at the moment. And we are zipping through this. 6 of 26, 21 to go.
Yes, still a long way to go. Welcome into Roberto Fay, who's in our YouTube chat at the moment, saying, come on, Kata. I know who, I think I know who he's supporting. Andrea Kata currently running in second position at the moment. And do tell us if we're pronouncing his name wrong as well, because it sounds like we're saying the country Qatar, doesn't it? Anyway, Andrea Catta in second place. He's not got too long back to Max Bartolotta, by the way, as well. As down the inside goes the Italian. He is through. Kenty Newhoff with no answer, and that's twice now that Andrea Catta has gone through on Kenty Newhoff in towards 130R. I just wonder whether the Italian has got a bit more straight line speed than the reigning champion, as they still battle for 5th place. Andy Flint is back into that position. Tony Jimenez displaced, but I'm sure he'll give him another going towards turn 1, as Newhoff does for the lead as well. Side by side over the line there for the lead, and McIntyre Jones is defending from Jakub Olszewski as well. It's a familiar feeling for McIntyre Jones, unfortunately. In fact, it's not him, is it? It's Jimenez and Flint who are going side by side in front, excuse me. So there they go again, almost like we saw with Townsbury and Glabseater through the first sector a few laps ago. They battle side by side into this section, and this time Flint holds on to that 5th position.
This is great. We're going to sit back and watch this from Will's perspective, because you can see the battles brewing up the road, and we're talking about potentially for a 5th place right now. There was another just little switcheroo between the top 2, but Carter is still on top at the moment, regaining that position from starting second on the grid and now back up to P1. So we'll definitely keep that peel there. Now bringing the other drivers into play too, so you're looking at 3rd and 4th, starting to catch them a little bit until you got that gap of Mr. Flint now currently leading this pack in P5.
Yeah, how long for though? Because that battle has been pretty furious between the two of them. I'll take back what I said about McIntyre Jones earlier, by the way. During the Spa race, in case you weren't with us, he was defending a lot, and his qualifying was a lot better than his race. I'm glad to see he's turned that around a little bit. So far in this one, not doing quite so much defending, but Andrea Catta certainly is. He's pulled to the right hand side now, and Kenty Newhoff's going to do to him what the Italian has often done to the Dutchman over the course of the last few laps. Although, look at the speed of Catta on the straight. It's side by side through 130R. Goodness me, you don't see that very often, and there's good reason for it as well, but these two have made it work. They're side by side into the final chicane, and Newhoff's going to have the great run out of here. Bartolotta watches on from behind, but it's Newhoff who runs round the outside. He ducks wide so that he gets that slingshot. You can't be too close over that corner, because you will just go nowhere and you won't get the place. Now Newhoff tries to do that slingshot round the outside at turn 1. It's not going to happen this time, and Andrea Catta holds on to the lead for another lap.
Oh, this is great racing. He had to lift off at the moment there for Bartolotta, because he knows that, hey, anything goes pear-shaped. Once again, I told you it was bringing the other drivers into play. The battle at the moment for P1. Nobody can seem to gain the advantage and get ahead and get up the road, so they're going to have to continue to squabble through these positions. 19 to go, so plenty of time. And as you said, who's going to be kind to take care of their tyres? As they're struggling to see at the moment. Max is just the car's starting to get a little bit loosey-goosey already.
That was a slide. Very big slide on the exit, and well caught from Max Bartolotta there. Catching as well is Evan Way, as you can see in the background as well, so don't discount him just for the moment either. Into the hairpin they go. That's a tighter line from Catta there, but in these slightly smaller cars you can get away with a tighter line through there, because the way that they use the corner, you don't have to do the line almost perfectly, if you like. You can get away with a slightly worse exit and you won't be punished for it, and Catta certainly won't be on this occasion in towards Spoon Curve. Now, on the last few occasions he's been in this position, he's overtaken Kenty Newhoff in towards 130R. Now, surely it's not going to happen this time round, because he's too far back, but we've yet to have a proper viewing as to how good his straight line speed is. On this viewing, it seems to be decent, but not quite good enough for him to come from all the way back there. Now he'll jump over the curb. Now he'll have a move. This is certain that Catta has got a better car in a straight line, and he's going to use that now. Outside of the final chicane, he's back through on Kenty Newhoff, who has to tuck back into second, but how long's that going to last for? Are we watching almost a replay of last lap? Because it always looks oh so similar at the moment. Kenty Newhoff hooks into the slipstream. We can barely see him behind the Italian in towards turn number 1. Now he'll pull to the outside. He'll try and go all the way around, but it's not going to happen. He's very nearly in the AstroTurf and out wide through turn 1 and 2, but he holds on. Andrea Catta still leads at the start of lap 9.
Scrubbing off some speed as they battle, because once again you got Ewan Way just keeping them honest. You got about 2 second gap. That's actually, believe it or not, remember Flint was about 5 seconds and change, and they could just see them in the background starting to catch up now. So whatever it is with the battle of the top 2, top 3 now and 4, is bringing everybody else more bunched up. You can see that track map. It's just like an I-95 busy freeway jam. You've got practically barely any space on the track if you're lucky at all. You can see a couple of those drivers that took these pit stops early, like all the way back in P49 or 48. Well, hey, you got plenty of free track, but also that's going to come into play, isn't it, there, Ewan, when they're going to start getting traffic and they start catching up to this traffic. It's going to be something else to navigate around here.
Yeah, 9 drivers, by the way, have been into the pit lane so far this race. Normally, you would get through these races without pit stops. There's no mandatory pit stop. There's no need to pit. But if you have damage, of course, then there will be. Marcelo Kessler is out of this race after the contact we saw at the Casio Triangle. Simon Fessi tried to recover from his no front end palaver. He's now down on the pit lane and out of the race, as is Maximilian Gebhardt, who is also out. But I think they're the only 3 retirements so far. Side by side for the lead, very nearly in towards the Casio Triangle again. It's a bit of a strange line from Kata because he was on the defensive through the first part, and you see Neuhoff going wide through that little right-hander there as well. Excuse me. He's just trying to make sure that he doesn't get the slipstream so that then he can get into it, get the slingshot and go past the leader. Bartolotto nearly made it 3 wide there. The 3 covered by a blanket now as they go in towards turn 1. Andrea Kata holds on to the lead from the inside line, cutting it off with no chance of going through on that occasion. Max Bartolotto watches on from behind as well.
Yeah, if you gotta feel this one. Maxi's gonna be ready to seize an opportunity if they come together here, or at least leave the door open. He's looking to burgle them here. Because once he gets bunching, I'm back up. We got 1.4 seconds to change down to Mr. Flint. It's starting to just slowly hover at that point. And so further back, we did have a couple of little positions of Mr. Connor Gibb, I think, there also. But this just the action right here at the business end of this race is absolutely exciting as we get edging a little bit closer to halfway point. Oh, there's a lock up.
There's a lock-up from Andrea Kata. He's doing that strange line that I mentioned. I thought that was just because he had Bartolotto so close to him and he was defending, sort of half defence, half attack, if you like, when he was in second. But clearly that's not the case. Clearly he's just struggling because he's done it well in the lead now as well. Neuhoff has a little bit of a look in towards Spoon just to try and put him off more than anything. As it works, well, maybe. He's gone a little bit of a different line there as Neuhoff to try and get that run on the leader on this next straight, as Connor Gibb has gone off the road at Spoon, by the way, but it's very nearly side by side for the lead. Neuhoff didn't want to make it too wide through 130R. He wants to make it too wide into the Casio Triangle instead. He'll go to the outside. Will he go deeper on the brakes this time? Yes, and Carter goes even deeper. He shoves him out wide and shuts the door in his face. Says you're not coming through for the moment. Max Bartolotto will close in on you as well and just make this a little bit more difficult, but Neuhoff is not going to take this lying down. He's going to try and go through once again. He's going to look to the outside, going to squeeze Kata onto a tight line. Bartolotto nearly makes it 3 wide. Kata with that tight line is slightly compromised, and now Neuhoff's going to go for it round the outside of 1 and 2, but once again it's not happening for him. He can't get for the inside for 3 and make it a side-by-side battle into the S's, and so Andrea Kata holds on again, but what a battle we're seeing.
Oh, it's amazing. This is brilliant racing. Many positions are chopping and chopping and changing all over the place. There is it's like plenty of action with all the other drivers as well, but you know, like everybody's still allowing enough space. Good wheel-to-wheel racing, and that's what you're going to expect here at the iGPFun Racing League. 20 years of it. Hopefully we're going to have another 100 years more.
Yeah, it's fantastic racing so far, and long may it continue as well. We had a great battle for the lead, by the way, at Spa between Kenzie Neuhoff and Max Bartolotto, but unfortunately Bartolotto had an incident at Lecom, and unfortunately that 2-horse race for the win ended up becoming a 1-horse race, and Neuhoff was able to take it to the flag from there. But other than that, this has been absolutely fantastic. And of course we've got 4, maybe 5 involved. Look at Andy Flint not too far away.
I told you he was catching up. They're not like he's managed to build that down, because the battle up the lead there is costing them a little bit of time. Just a little bit, and with that clean air, Flint managed to catch him, and now you've got Seitz there behind him. That's probably going to get that 1.4 second gap. And then you're going to have the top 10 all under a second of each other on lap 11.
Well, absolutely amazing. Now Neuhoff goes for it again, but doesn't go for the late braking round the outside move. goes for the cutback and the exit. Now he might have just sunk himself because Bertilla will be there now as well. And there could be an Italian charge on the inside, and there will be. So Carter will lead. Bertilla will be in second. Will he go for first? He's boxed in. Neuhoff boxes him in. They're nearly free wide towards turn one. There is a change though. Neuhoff goes back down to third in all his attempts to try and get this race lead away. It's cost him a place in the end, and now we've got an Italian 1-2. Max Bertilla moves up to second place.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's not going to be on a massive attack here from the Canadian just lurking in the background there of Evan Way. I do apologise. These things are like 1 by 1 pixel on my screen to read these names, so it's very difficult. But you've got us all covered. Flint's just lurking in the background there at the moment, so once again turning into a 5-horse race. And we still measure cars and horsepower, believe it or not. So how many horses do power these cars? Well, no point in counting it at the moment, because we all know that Carter's hoping that he can hold on to this P1. It's actually almost got a half a second gap, but as they bunch up around those fantastic corners here at Suzuka, it'll bring them back into place soon.
It's absolutely wonderful racing so far between these three mainly. Evan Way's kind of been sitting there waiting. Let's take a couple of replays while there's a bit of a calming at the front of the field. This is Adam Talsma on the way towards the hairpin. He's got that all wrong, and he's gone a bit wide there, I'm afraid. Hopefully stayed off the grass and out of the wall, which would have been easy to find yourself in, but did lose a place, and he's back to 13th now, back behind Glamsey, who he worked so hard to overtake, if you remember, earlier on in the race. Now it's Carter versus Bertilla on the way in towards the Cassian Triangle. Carter breaks so late into that final corner, and now they could both be in trouble. Neuhoff's got a better run on both of them. That was a slide from Carter. He needs to get to the inside pretty quickly here, or Bertilla's going to be through and into the lead, and he might well be already. Inside line for Bertilla. Will Neuhoff try and make it free wide, go for the win here? He's going to go down the pit exit on the grass. Goodness me, they're nearly free wide. They all back off a little bit. They realise that maybe this isn't a very good idea, and it probably wouldn't have been. Carter somehow holds on to the lead with a big slide. He shuts the door again. Bertilla still second. Somehow there's no positional change in a free wide moment that could have changed everything there.
Oh, absolutely. I think that was probably a little bit clever to lift off a little bit there and realise, yeah, guys, we've got to follow them. We've got 14 laps to go here. I get a sneaking feeling that somebody's going to try a similar situation, but when it comes down to the final laps of the stage, because right there you can just reach out and grab it. The race win. It's within your grasp of these top 4 drivers, maybe even top 5 drivers right now. And you're going to maybe start to see a little bit more risk it for the biscuit moves coming up soon, but for now, they are behaving themselves. Lock up.
Oh, look again from Carter, I think it was again. He's not enjoying that hairpin at all, and he is struggling through there. Tyres, of course, a concern around here. With the amount of high-load corners, you do need to be careful with them, and you do wonder whether the leaders have been taking lumps out of their tyres so far, and whether those who have caught on from behind, like Andy Flint, will be in luck. That's a bit wide from Bertilla. He went sailing into Spoon Curve there, and certainly got an off-track for his troubles. They shouldn't be a problem over the course of today's race, or any of the races indeed, especially with the length of races that we have in the iGPFun F3 League. It's lap 13. We're about to cross the halfway mark of this one, and what a race it's been so far. Oh, dearie me. Bertilla tries it on the inside of Andrea Carter, can't go through. Now what about Neuhoff? Will he be close enough for a dive? No, he actually backed off on the way down the straight a little bit, or through that lap, just to maybe make sure he had distance between the front two, or maybe it was just he made a mistake somewhere. But anyway, he was thankfully quite far back, because he would have got involved there. Now he's going to try to, from third place, they all stay in a line in towards turn one. Bertilla's on the outside this time, no way through, and he just makes sure that he doesn't commit to that too much, because otherwise he could have had Neuhoff down his inside, who looked to the outside of turn 3. That's not going to happen either. They'll stay single file, and look at that from this onboard shot. We have traffic on the horizon. That may become a problem for them for the remainder of this race.
Yeah, that's what I said, because the traffic, obviously Suzuka, it's a twisty circuit. You know, it was built as a Honda test track for motorcycles, essentially, this way for two-wheelers. So there's never much of a straightaway, and then these cars have to kind of get off their racing line. They're trying to race themselves, remember, at the back, even though some of those drivers are the ones that boxed early to get some repairs done. And imagine they'll move out of the way, but as they progress their way through the field here with 13 to go, it's going to be starting to get a little bit more of a problems. It's going to be frustrated that James right now would be biting his nails calling out blue flags.
And I think the blue flags are being shown to Patrick Rowlands here. Gets right out the way of absolutely everybody. And a fair play to him for that. Hats off for that one, because the top 10 pretty much are really close together. Again, Bertilla goes deep into Spoon Kirby, just like that line. He's going for a late apex now, and it gives him a good run to the back straight, but it hasn't done that time. Carter looks to break the slipstream by running to the right-hand side of the straight here, just weaving around a little bit, trying to prevent that from being a factor. Now Newhoff will close in. He'll have a look. He won't go for it. He'll let Bertilla do his thing, and he'll get that run through 130. Oh, he looked to the inside. He's off the road on the grass. Well, that's going to be contentious, but he is down the inside. He is through. Carter will hold the outside. Now comes Newhoff, the reigning champion, looking to take this from everybody. Evan Way is in his slipstream as well. Will he make it free wide? Will he look for those places? No, because Carter's given the slipstream to Bertilla, who also has better straight line speed. Now Evan Way's on the outside of Newhoff. They all dive into turn one. They're all diving all over the place. Bertilla's on the outside again. It's not going to happen for him. And Newhoff just stays behind as well. This is amazing stuff. Truly great racing. The top 7 now are within a second of each other, and it's just unlike anything we've ever seen before. Suzuka delivering here in round 2.
Oh, I can't wait if this is just round 2. This is just a sampler. It's like you've gone into the ice creamery and you want to have a sample of each of the different flavors. Well, you're getting a sample right now of some iGPFun entertainment with this top 7 battle now, because we've got Yemez in the play. And once again, we're going to have a little bit of traffic cars coming up the road soon-ish. Oh, they're out a little bit further down, so they're in Spoon as where these drivers currently at. I'm hurrying to the hairpin. Wow, lockups everywhere. Still outstanding driving. You don't want to spoil this one. We don't want to have any major incidents. We do want to see them just go wheel-to-wheel racing for the remaining 12 laps. But it is certainly exciting. Your eyes cannot be glued anywhere else but this stream.
Absolutely. Someone. Oh, and a bit wide there from Cutter in front, I think it was, or was it Bertilla, who now really begins to struggle, by the way. And Newhoff will be down his inside, side by side between Evan Way and Greg Seitz and Andy Flint as well. Seitz will come out on top in that one, but the group's beginning to split apart. Now Newhoff goes down the inside through 130 yards, should have that place possibly. Bertilla goes wide, and he's cut straight in front of Evan Way, who breaks early and makes sure that gap doesn't open too much, but side by side further back, Jimenez and Flint. Flint's going backwards here. He's been overtaken by Seitz and Jimenez on this lap by the looks of it, and so Andy Flint's back down to 7th.
Just like that, they start to break it out. So this is the battle, as you said, between Andy Flint here and Jimenez. And he's going to try to reclaim that position. It's always difficult when you look at that angle, isn't it, when they're turning into turn 1, like wondering if they are allowing enough space, but they are still going to go side by side through here. He's going to maintain this position. Yes, he can, but it's all about that exit into the main straightaway, isn't it? Out of the Casio triangle, you want to get it all perfect, because the amount of overtakes we've seen at turn 1 have been ballistic here this evening.
There have been a lot of overtakes since turn 1, and quite a lot into 130R as well, so the exit from Spoon Curve pretty important as well. Kenzie Newhoff just around 9 tenths around back from Andrea Carter, but I think Max Bertilla struggling. I don't know what he's done to his tyres, because there's more than 10 laps to go, but look at that gap opening in front of him to Newhoff. Look at the gap to Carter already as well. He's nearly lost 2 seconds to Carter in about 2 laps here. It's not looking good for Max Bertilla now.
I think you called it at the top of the show, didn't you? It's going to be about those tyres and taking care of them at the end, because that's when you're going to need to deliver the best performance that you can and eke what you can out of the car, because that's where you're going to final positions will end up be. And you can see, isn't it struggling right now? We were on board there for a second with the Canadian driver, and it's just, you can see the wiggling, can't you, from the Italian's car? Just not comfortable. You can see a couple of little lockups too that some of the drivers were having, a lot more than what we experienced at the top of the show.
Yeah, it's maybe down to tyres as well. And the lower downforce, of course, I believe Carter and Bertilla are going for, certainly in relation to Newhoff. They've got less downforce on, I would argue. So we're riding on board with Evan Way now. He does arguably need to get through on Bertilla here, clear him just to make his life a bit easier. I don't think he's going to manage it right here. It's going to be difficult for him. He's absolutely stuck there, isn't he? He's dead in the slipstream, but getting nowhere. And this is the problem. But when you go for a higher downforce setup, it might be faster over 1 lap, but it does make overtaking quite difficult, and Evan Way is discovering that right now.
Here's Christian, the Norwegian driver, getting it done for the No Limit Sim Racing on once again turn 1. Getting it done there on Philip Lucas. That's the squabble for P12 and 13. Apologies out there if we're not capturing all the action, because there's a lot of that action on track, but there's only so much that we can kind of focus on, and it's really up to those drivers and how much they're all bunched up together that they want to be hogging some of the camera time, which they are. Oh, that was a bit of a snap there at the moment as the camera switches on board. As he's got
Bartolot's off. Bartolot's off, and it's through the second Degner. So it's going from bad to worse now. He was on the cusp of a lead earlier on, but now he's down to 4th. It could be worse. Greg Seitz is just behind him, and it's into Degner 2, which is such a difficult one to get slowed up for. And I don't think he quite managed it on the way in there. Seitz stays in the slipstream, can't quite get into the inside of Spoon Curve. He will wait for a little bit later in the lap, but Bartolot is struggling so much, and I'd be very surprised if he even finishes inside the top 5.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It was like had that massive run for essentially the lead of this race. If you're only looking at a handful of laps ago, and now he's not even looking at a podium anymore, because maybe just that charge that he did was a little bit too much, took too much out of the car and the tyres, and now is paying the price for that gamble.
Yeah, it's not good news. Luca Varani's well inside the top 10 right now, by the way, 9th place, proving himself wrong. See, this is what I always say, or often say, he really undersells himself sometimes, and it does a lot better than he thinks or he predicts for himself. As Bartolozzi goes back to 3rd, it's side by side as Jimenez gets back in front of Flint, so that's a reversal of 2 places that changed on the earlier part of those laps, as Christian Glamsitter stays ahead of Philip Lucas in 12th as well. But yeah, Varani's in 9th place at the moment, running very well, and a top 10 is looking very possible for him at the moment, despite the fact he said he would be very surprised if he ends the race in the top 10. So doing very well at the moment, Varani, but still 9 laps to go, including the one that we're on at the moment.
Yeah, it sounds like they're kind of that driver below me. Sorry out there for the driver, but yeah, I remember that Lewis Hamilton and stuff like that back in the days. Of course, when he's winning the championships, would be complaining about the guys going on. This car, the tires are bad. This car it doesn't feel good. What are we going to do? Blah blah. And then sets like a couple of fastest laps straight after it. So, do you really believe what the drivers are saying sometimes or not? But
no.
He's putting his money where his mouth is. That's the key.
Yeah, he's certainly running well. And I guess if you set low expectations, then you can't be disappointed, either for yourself or other people in you. So I can certainly see why he would do that, because I would do the same. Greg Seitz still running 5th, by the way. Max Bartolotta seems to have refound himself actually over the last couple of laps, which kind of shoots the tyre theory out the window a little bit, but I still think he is struggling with them ever so slightly, and he is still definitely on the defensive for Evan Way. Tony Jimenez certainly on the defensive from Andy Flint as well. He heads slightly to the inside there at the final corners, but can't find his way through into 6th position for now. So Andy Flint stays in that position. What's happened to Alex Hopkins back here into Degner 2?
Like
he has...
Oh, yes.
Oh, he's gotten over that curb, and he's gone for a bit of a spin, which is going to be awkward to recover from. He's going to end up doing a 3-point turn in the road.
Further back, there's a little squabble here for 26 and 27. This is the first time we actually get to switch those cameras over to see some of those other battles, which are fantastic. And every time we have, look at this, we have a little bit of a breather in this race. It's still hard to say that of 8 laps ago we have a little bit of a breather, but we do. Fantastic livery on Edward Armos' car. 69 machine, you can see in the background there. You can't miss that purple and blue kind of tintish livery. As he does have, of course, great Maryland Sim Racing Academy up the road. He's going to do anything just there. But
No, not this time.
yeah. Well, you're going to give it to Carter's now comfortably. Well, the most comfortable he's been all race up the road by just under a second from Newhoff. And as you said, Bartolota has to kind of just remain, keep his head down and keep the car on the track there to steal that final podium position. But the battle for P4 is brewing still here on the pitches.
Yep, it is. Is there going to be a change here for Evan Way in sights? Well, there will be. Sights goes to the inside. Gets that move done pretty easily in the end. And he's up to 4th place now. So Greg Sights moved up ahead of Evan Way, who I would expect to be a little bit quicker actually at this stage in the race. Though, like Way has been hanging back quite a lot so far, and if he has been saving those tyres, then he will be unleashing them a little bit later. But clearly that's not happening for him at the moment, and he's only in 5th place now as Greg Sights sets the fastest lap of the race. People just starting to open the taps now with 7 laps to go. Andy Flint is back down the inside of Tony Jimenez. He's back through, and Luca Varadi's up another place as well, into 8th now ahead of Will McIntyre-Jones, who will have some defending to do from Jakub Olszewski as well in the 9th place for now. By the way, we were just looking at the battle between Louis Gregg and Edward Amos earlier on. Gregg came into today 2nd place in the 2500 championship behind Stuart Milne, who at the moment I believe is the only Timo Brun actually is ahead of them all in that championship, so he's probably going to take this race by the looks of it in the 2500 championship, but ahead of Stuart Milne and Reed Dennis, who are both ahead of Greg at the moment. But keep an eye out for those in the who have got an I rating less than 2.5k, because they race in the subcategory of the iGPFun F3 League, and at the moment it's in that championship Stuart Milne, although it's very early days after only 1 round of the season. But good to have a championship for those with a little bit less I rating. I would certainly enjoy that if I was driving, because mine is about 1.4 something. But yes, it's good to have that subdivision of the series as we go back
and because look at that.
What's happened?
He's dropped down a lot of positions. He's gone off the track here.
Oh, apologies for missing that as I was rambling on. Kenzie Newhoff from 2nd place, championship leader, race winner from 1 week ago, has gone for a solo spin really through the Degners, and that gives Andrea Catta surely a great chance of winning this race now with 2.5 seconds over the rest of the field.
Exactly, that's just that's when you're just pushing it for the limit, and the tyre's probably giving up at that point. Yeah, so I was just sorry about that, because I was wondering what is he doing back here. Luckily we have a replay system, and you can see exactly the reason why. Look at this battle brewing at the moment for the final, well, say inside the top 10 points paying positions.
It's Will McIntyre-Jones who hangs on ahead of Jakub Olszewski. I said that earlier that he would have some defending to do from the pole, and that's becoming true at the moment. So they're fighting for 9th place. By the way, Denzioff rejoins in 6th place, just ahead of Tony Jimenez, just behind Andy Flint inside the top 5. So he's going to need to recover slightly, is Newhoff, but that's exactly what happens when you're pushing as hard as possible, and we've seen it there with Olszewski as well. He just makes a bit of a mistake through Degner 2.
Yeah, Degner 2 is one that can catch a lot of those drivers off for sure. It's a fantastic corner. This classic track, of course, has had that little elevation changes, little bumps and stuff like that bred into it over those years, and that's what adds the excitement. Of course, these tracks are laser scan. I can't remember the specific date. Last time it was with laser scan in Suzuka, but it certainly is one of those drivers' favourite tracks. Always challenging, always demanding, and always entertaining. Even in the real F1 today, it was entertaining. And you know, some of those F1 races can be a bit of a snore fest.
Certainly. It's good to see. But yeah, really enjoyed this race so far. There's still 5 laps to go. Kenzie Newhoff on a bit of a recovery drive, and he should be able to get Andy Flint here, the driver who was inside the top 5 in the season standings of season 3 as well, by the way, was Flint. So he drops back into 6th place, and maybe further.
It's another fastest lap. Sorry to cut you off on that one. He's been
right.
pushing like mad. So one of the drivers is just going to have to sit there for ages on the exit of the pit road, because you've got a ton of fast drivers coming down, including this. Overtaken!
Oh no! Oh no!
That's what I was just about to say. Oh!
Oh, and he rejoins straight into Clamp-Seater as well.
Oh, I'm just seeing further back action here. That is... Oh, I was going to... That driver at that point, you just have to sit there and park it for ages, because there's so many cars coming down the main straight. And of course you're in the exit of pit road, nowhere to go. But why would you have to put that one down to? That's just I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
let's have a look here. He's gone into seat. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think he's got to just stop at that point and just sit or get off the track. And then by the way, for Olszewski, you can't rejoin like that either.
There might have been a frustration
yes,
after that
possibly.
point. And I'll tell you what, he's not going to be a happy camper with the car that was exiting the pit road like that. That's for sure, because it has destroyed his race. But that's what happens, isn't it? It happens to much everybody during a season. You're going to have one of those bad lucks. And all you have to do is pick yourself up again and try again for the next race, because that happens to everybody, isn't it? It could happen to our race leader right now, even Mr. Carter. Something could happen to him, unfortunately. But all he can do is drive this machine as quickly as possible and see Barney as quickly as possible. And with a 2-second gap, he's well on his way. Further back in the field, here we go. More fantastic racing, and this is for P12.
Yeah, so that's Glamsiter losing a place. Or I believe, is he staying where he is? Yeah, he is staying where he is, really, to Townsmet. Here comes Newhoff, who's, I think, maybe made a mistake again, or maybe just been overtaken again, because Flint has got through. So that's Newhoff back inside the top 5 all over again. This is coming quite a train for 5th place now, with Newhoff, Flint, Jimenez, Ferrari all involved. There you can see, but I'd imagine the reigning champion will be able to get away now and retain that 5th position as Stephen Bridges gets ahead of Glamsiter, who must be suffering with damage as a result of that contact. I think it was him that hit Olszewski, was it? Was it Townsmet? No, it can't have been Townsmet, so I think it was Glamsiter, and he's suffering with that damage slightly at the moment. But the battles never end. They're still going on, even for 24th place, as we're seeing here.
Yeah, exactly. You can see the biggest gainers in a lot of these midfield pack drivers that we're looking at. Ryan LeMay, of course, 15 positions gained. Might be about to lose one. Oops, what happened there? Sorry, my apologies. And Robert's up the road here for the Atomic Racing team. Robert Rizzo cast him for another league. Good to see him back here. What's happened there?
Dear me, that was close. Sorry, I thought Glamsiter was going to head off the road, Daniel Kvyat style, if you remember, from about 10 years ago. Anyway, sorry, yeah, what I was saying. Robert Ridgway holds on to 14th, though, in that particular instance. And I think it's a lap car behind them, because that's not Chuck Morrow, who is next behind them in 16th. This is Patrick Rowlands into Degner 2. That's quite late on the brakes. And
we've seen that before.
We have.
It's the dangerous part about the bumpiness.
Oh, his suspension broke. The suspension's broke there, and he's in the wall, I'm afraid, Patrick Rowland. So that may be not classified for him today. Oh, Louis Gregg's off the road and in the pit lane at the moment. That's quite recent. He was in that battle with Amos for about 24th, and with Otlovs as well, who's got nobody near him anymore. So
that's the same situation, isn't it? Yeah, that's where you want to get your fold-out chair and popcorn if you want to watch this race, because that's where all the expensive bits of carbon fibre have been racking up. Second Degner, I love it. It's just so entertaining, and all forms of sport. It was in the back in the day of the Formula One game when it was a lot better than what it is today. Used to have a lot of incidents there.
It's a very difficult call, especially in these cars, which are so low to the ground. You can't go too far to the inside at Degner 2, because you will sort of mount that curb, and it will push you wide into understeer, and then it will push you onto that outside curb, where the sort of under tray of your car means that your wheels, or certainly not all 4 of them, are actually on the floor anymore. And that's exactly the situation that I'm in. You've got to get right up there, but not so much so that the middle of your floor, if you like, if you can imagine the underside of an F3 car, the middle of your floor gets onto that sort of dark green bit on the outside. Otherwise you will have no steering, because your wheels will be in the air. This is down at the final chicane, where the curbs are a bit more friendly, but not for Clark Williams, who just decided to miss them entirely and go for the old layout chicane that we used to use back in the day, like a long time ago, and has unfortunately dropped places as a result, as Lucas Marek's recovery driver's got him up to 33rd. That will be 11 points for him now as he gets through on Vladislav Potapenko. Nice overtake from him, and a decent recovery as well after that crash on lap 1 with Pedro Suarez.
Yeah, exactly. You get to say good recovery drive, get your head down there. You've still got time to make up some ground. Again, we've seen championships before in the past come down with just by a couple of points on the last race. So you want to always come back and look at moments like that and go, well, see, by sticking at it and getting a couple more places back, it could very much make a huge difference in the championship at the end of the season. That's what you like to see. I don't like seeing drivers just pulling out, retiring, and going, no, I can't get a decent result that I wanted, so I'm just going to quit. Well, once again, I'll come back and bite you if you are fighting for the championship later on.
Yeah, exactly. Edward Amos has been in the pit lane as well, by the way, from that battle. There's been a whole load of pit stops recently, for whatever reason. And now those guys are falling quite a few laps off the front. Luca Varani is still gaining places as well here. He's on the back of 7th place, Tony Jimenez. Just while I've got a short moment, by the way, there are some penalties to speak of from last round, by the way. There's even a disqualification for Leonard Sherry after blocking on the Kemmel Straight during the race at Spa. A suspended disqualification as well for Rino Scattini, and plenty of major warnings, in fact 4 major warnings. So an unusually high number of penalties and talking points from the stewards room in the week, unfortunately for those guys, because it's not been an ideal opening round of the season for them, and that's what can happen in opening rounds of the season. There is generally a little bit more chaos than usual, but this race has been absolutely fantastic. We've seen a wonderful battle for the lead for the first half of this race especially. It doesn't like Andrea Catter has got enough to hold on to the lead here, but the gap's still only 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, and Lewis Greg out there at the moment we saw before. He's in the pit road right now, just chatting to us from the pit road down there in the chat. Gotta love having a screen flicker. Yeah, so it's been a technical issue, unfortunately for him, and yeah, the worst place to have a screen flicker. So maybe you're not the only one that's occurring with, because we have a few drivers, of course, that have lost it there. But here we go. Maybe the very last chance, the last lap chance, I'd have to say right now for Luca. See if he can do anything on Yamaz.
Last time into turn 1. And he's pulling to the inside on Tony Jimenez. It's going to be late, but Jimenez is almost going to give that one over, almost as if there are more laps to go. But this is the final lap. That was surprisingly, not fought for by Jimenez there, considering that it is the final lap.
Well, you're not wanting to mess with the Triple T machine too much. It's just, who knows?
Well,
also tyres, just never really know. I'm seeing when they're not Christian. I don't think Christian can do anything. Oh yes, he can on Connor. Now, is this a teammate switcheroo? No, you got the no limits. So they're not teammates. It's a similar liveries.
It just looks similar.
Yeah, they are no limits racing team actually. Sorry. So.
That's why they look similar.
Yes.
Sorry. I'm still not quite to grips up to speed. I know I've done this for 2 seasons, so I'm still not quite up to grips. As we do have. Oh, that's a big slide and a bit wide from Flint, and that's surely the last chance gone now for Andy Flint.
So, well, we go back over to the Italian mastermind, because here we got goes really deep out there, doesn't he? Maybe because it's caught up to the lap car at the moment. There should no problems get out of his way. Doesn't look like it is actually. He's going to use that slipstream Zingo on. Down the back straight.
Matt Brewer, who is giving those places over. And in the end, with a few more laps, Bartolotto might have gotten there. I think our tyre prediction from early with Bartolotto was incorrect, because towards the end, he was one of the fastest drivers on the grid. And with maybe even one more lap, maybe 2, he could have got there. But it's Andrea Catter who will win at Suzuka. A fantastic drive and a great race after 26 laps. An Italian 1-2, and Greg Seitz sets the fastest lap at the end as well. Some of these cars getting very quick, and the first 51 there for Greg Seitz, a 51.9, getting that fastest lap of the race. Andrea Catter takes the win though at Suzuka. What a hard fought for win that was, especially in the first half of the race, where he held off attack after attack after attack from Bartolotto and Neuhoff, who were sending it down the inside and outside of him constantly in the opening moments of that race.
They should be waving to your fans right now at the moment, my friend. We need to get that scared in, don't we, to it, because she would have a big smile underneath that helmet right now, having to hold off a fantastic battle throughout that whole race. Wheel-to-wheel action, wasn't it, for at least 3/4 of this race between that top 4, well, turned into top 5 at some point, but...
Sorry, the battle for 27th is coming to the line right now, and it's absolute carnage further back. Ben Goyette holds it. Oh dear, and that's wide for Pedro Suarez, who's trying to gain at the end, and he does get one from Wedstead. They'll all come over the line pretty much absolutely together. That was completely mad. 22 places lost, unfortunately, for Suarez, who did get back into the race and will score 15 points for his trouble at least. But not the day that he would have wanted after starting inside the top 10. Paolo Brem just holds on from Clark Williams
31st. Who else is still yet to come across the line? I think there's only a couple more, like the likes of Alex Hopkins, Matt Brewer, who, Matt Brewer would have just got lapped there, wouldn't he? So he's already crossed the line. So there's Alex Hopkins, 35th. And I believe after all of that, the ones to be classified will go all the way down to 42nd. Points, by the way, for the top 43 in this league. And so that means pretty much everybody who started this race, who were classified in this race, will get points. Only one driver missing out on points because of not being classified, which I believe is still at 90% of the race distance, by the way, that you need to be classified, which means you can only fall 2 laps down, 3 or more around here, and you're done for. So you can't fall many laps down at all. Here are your race results, though. Andrea Catter takes the race win ahead of Max Bartolotta by only half a second, and Greg Seitz rounding out the podium. Evan Way and Kenty Newhoff join them inside the top 5, with Andy Flint and Luca Verani Ligoda in 7th place. Tony Jimenez, Will McIntyre Jones and Timo Brun round out the top 10. Philip Lucas finishes 11th, just ahead of Adam Townsmer, who had a second or so over Stephen Bridges. Robert Widway and Chuck Morrow round out the top 15. 16th was last season's run-up Connor Gibb, just over half a minute back. He was ahead of his teammate Christian Glamsey to damage to contend with for the final laps. Stuart Milne finishes 18th ahead of Paul LeMay, who gained a lot of places throughout that one. Shat Williams rounds out the top 20. Ivan Zoranu was 21st ahead of Michael LeMay, the final driver to finish inside a minute of the race winner. Max Otloff, Garrett Spencer and Marina Scatini round out the top 25. 26th was Reed Dennis ahead of Ben Goyette. Nick Carty, Pedro Suarez, who was recovering from that lap 1 incident, finished 29th ahead of Richard Wedstead, who was 30th. Paolo Brem, 31st ahead of Clark Williams. Lucas Marek gets 11 points after that lap 1 incident with Suarez. Vacislav Potapenko and Alex Hopkins round out those who finish on the lead lap. 36th was Matt Brewer, 1 lap down. Sergio Sanchez was as well as Jose Arroyo. Marcus Putnick's Ryan Berry round out those 1 lap down, and those classified. I don't know if John McKenzie and Louis Gregg will be. There's a danger they won't. If they are, then Edward Amos will score the last point, but I somewhat doubt it, in 43rd position. Well, that is it then for the iGPFun F3 League for round 2 here at Suzuka. So a very big thank you to everybody for joining us here this evening. Doesn't look like we're going to get anyone to chat to us after the race here this evening, unfortunately. After 26 laps of enthralling racing. So we will bid our fairly swift farewells. I've been Ewan Leary alongside Dean Biggles for this broadcast. And until we see you for round number 3 that will be at Mount Panorama in Australia, we'll say goodbye for now.